Example, kani siya, successful achievement of these tasks lead to the person's happiness and increases the probability of competence in the following tasks. While if you fail to perform the developmental task expected sa imong age, this failure may lead to unhappiness and disapproval by society and difficulty in later tasks. Mga nang ginaingon nga naging usually ato mga parents moingon sila nga uy dapat pweta na may mga kuan kanang expected ninyo dapat karon pili na inyo 18 years old, 17 years old dapat kabalo na magluto, dapat kabalo na manglaba kanang mga inana nga may expectations sa inyo ha. And most likely magod nagbase siya sa inyong edad nga expected dapat kabalo na mo ang mga basic yung mga trabahoon sa balay. Mao nang ginaingon nga social demand, the demands of the people around you, and at the same time ang imuha pong need, no? But most likely magod ang kaning developmental task aside from imo siyang need naa siya sa social environment or kanang social pressure ba, social demand nga kinahanglan nimo siyang i-perform tungod kay mao'y ingon, no? May ingon sa uban. So the concept of developmental tasks assumes that human development in modern societies is characterized by a long series of tasks. So some of these tasks are located in childhood and adolescence, whereas others arise during adulthood and old age. Okay, so I will be presenting to you Haviger's developmental tasks, and later on I will also be presenting um, uh, Sanchok's developmental tasks. No? Let's try to differentiate and to understand, to explore what is the difference between these two developmental tasks in each stage. Okay. So characteristics of developmental tasks, Havigers considered that many different aspects of person's life that influence a person's development. So, such, for example, the biological development and physical structures of the individual. So, the society in which the person lives and the resultant cultural influences, as well as the individual's personal characteristics, values, and goals. So, the view of development takes into account the role of physical maturation and the role that society plays in determining the skills that need to be learned at a certain age. So, mo to siyang ginaingon, based from the physical development, kabalo na kayo you're able to walk, nga ikaw lang, you can defend yourself, no? Inana. And then, because of that physical attributes that you already have and the skill that you already have, then you're expected to perform, no, based from the society's demand. So kay dako man ginaingon lang ba dako na kay kaglawas dapat kabalo na ka mag inani inana because of the observation makita nila sa imong physical ko nga kaya naman nimo, then you have to perform a particular task kay makita naman nila nga kaya na nimo. So magkuyog yun ng biological attributes at the same time ang cultural pod nga influence. Okay. So according to Javi Gerst, there are sensitive period which could called teachable moments when an individual is mature enough to learn the developmental tasks. So for example, this task may be physical like walking, cognitive like learning to read, or social where the person develops significant relationships. So once the critical period of development is over, learning may still occur. So teachable moments ang kaning walking, kinahanglan gid nimo tudluan ang bata bago siya para siya makalakaw. I don't know, no, murag lisod ka ay kung dili nimo tudluan og baklay o basa ang bata, murag dili gid siguro makabasa. Maglisod yun siya. So as early as bata pa lang, you have to try to teach the children or the particular child how to walk or to read and to socialize with other people. Kaya mao man ni siya ang mga task nga teachable, pwede nimo siyang itudlo. And as you move on to another stage of life, nga medyo critical period na pod of development, dili naman siya na mga moments or mga tasks nga dili na siya kailangan itudlo sa imuha. And because of cognitive development on your end, kabalo na kamo mosabot, kabalo na kamo analyze, kabalo na kamo sabot sa mga critical situations. Most likely, you are doing decisions on your own nga, dili na kinahanglan itudlo pa sa imo sa ubang tao. Okay, the language skills, no? Language skills, for example, continue to develop as one learns more complex ways of using language. So some tasks are the same for everyone regardless of where you live, as they are all also about human biology. For example, learning how to walk, to crawl. This is pretty much the same as compared or the same in all societies. Kay tanan ta kinahanglan man jud mo baklay, magsugod man gyud ta og tuon og baklay, tuon og kamang kay all of these tasks, particular tasks or activities lies in genetic factors, no? Kay sa biological aspect kung na kay tiil, na kay kamot, mas kung ana human as we are expected to learn how to walk, to crawl labi na og bata pa ka. So this is true sa basing asa pa kang partes kalibutan basta kay tao ka, no? And then in terms of language, you learn how to speak kung bata pa ka, kabalo ka mo storya, basic lang, basic words. But as you age, yan, mao ginang mo eskwela ta, kinder hantod mo graduate ka, ato na kag doctoral na ka, your vocabulary will be added. Madungagan siya ang mga words nga imong ginagamit. And ang simple nga word nga ginagamit nimo when you were still a baby, matingala ka nga hawod na kay ka. Maka-create na ka og sentences, paragraph, book, no? Researches, dissertations. Inana siya ang kuan, ang progress from simple words to actual book. Huh? So that is the product of learning. Okay. And then some tasks are different in different societies. So na yung mga uban nga expected para sa ato adere inani dapat ang kadi nga particular age pero sa laing nasod sa laing lugar dili sila expected nga buhaton na. So for example, some tasks may be different in uh, different forms in different cultures or it may exist in culture and not in other culture. For example, so to cite an example, the task of getting an occupation is different in other cultures. So in some cultures, an individual gets his job while the person is very young. So while in other culture, the person may get a job after long education and training. So sa ato diri sa Philippines, pwede naman ka magtrabaho but you are expected to work nagmahuman na jud ka og eskwela. Nay uban basing batan-on pa ka basta kay kabalo na ka mo baklay pwede na daw na manarbaho sa ubang lugar. Pero napay uban you really have to you still have to study for a very long time before you can get a job. So mo po na siyang practice sa uban. Okay. So in particular, no, katong dimension ako ganina, this is the developmental tasks according to Heavy Gerst. Makita ba ninyo? Maklaro ba siya?
Yes po, madam.
Maklaro siya. Okay. So let's start. There is infancy and early childhood, age 0 to 5 years old.
Yes, Dam.
Okay. Learning to walk, learning to take solid foods, learning to talk, learning to control the elimination of the body waste, learning sex differences and sexual modesty, acquiring concepts and language to describe social and physical reality, readiness for reading, learning to distinguish right from wrong, and developing a conscience. So that is expected from 0 to 5 years of age. So, wala man siya particular nga 1 year old, 2 year old, 2 years old, 3, and so on and so forth. Wala man siya ingana. Basta within 0 to 5, these are the tasks expected sa isa ka bata. No? And then, diri pud ta sa kuan, sa middle childhood, 6 to 12 years old, learning physical skills necessary for ordinary games, building a wholesome attitude toward oneself, learning to get along with age mates, learning an appropriate sex role, developing fundamental skills in reading, writing, and calculating, developing concepts necessary for everyday living, developing conscience, morality, and a scale of values, achieving personal independence, and developing acceptable attitudes toward society. Although medyo broad kaayo ni siyang version, but these are just some of the tasks according to Javi Gerst. No? Napatay makita diri nga grabe jud ka specific. Napatay makita nga version nga very much specific kaayo under each stage. And then sa adolescence, 13 to 18 years old, number one, we have achieving mature relations with both sexes, achieving a masculine or feminine role, accepting one's physique, um, achieving emotional independence of adult, preparing for marriage and family life, preparing for an economic career, acquiring values and an ethical system to guide behavior, desiring and achieving socially responsible behavior. So I think there's no need for me to elaborate and to discuss each of this one. Okay, it's understandable. Medyo daghan-daghan man gud ni siya, and I think kuan na siya, dili siya ingon the terms used are not that hard to understand, no? So I think you belong, pila na inyong mga edad? Just to be sure. Are you 18 years old, 19, 20,
20 po, madam.
19,
19 dam.
19 po, ma'am.
19. Okay.
19.
Na mo na belong sa adolescence nga stage. Na mo diri sa early adulthood. So 19 to 29 years old. So,
Po.
hindi siya. You have to listen. You're expected, number one, selecting a mate. Dapat na daw mo mga uyab-uyab. So, kanilang diri nga part ako i-explain kay mao man ni siyang inyong expected tasks sa inyong edad. So, selecting a mate, so early adulthood dira na mag-start og pagpangita og partner, partner in life. Okay? Number two, learning to live with a partner. So sa inyong edad karon dili pa gid na expected nga mag-ipon na din mo sa inyong mga love life dira. Siguro pohon 29 years old, mga kuan siguro mo graduate mo. I think sa ba mga 25, magbinyo na ba mo 25 years old or 28 years old, 27 years old, dirang dapita. So after marriage, starting a family, rearing children, managing a home, starting an occupation, and assuming civic responsibility. So, mauna siya ang expected sa inyong edad. Pero since ang inyong hamangkong edad is napadiri sugod pa lang sa early adulthood, you're not expected to perform all of this. But most likely na pa mo dito sa adolescence nga mga developmental tasks. Kaya pa may pag-start ninyo. Napa mo sa transition nga stage. And then we have the middle adulthood, 30 to 60 years old, helping teenage children to become happy and responsible adults. So after choosing a partner and settling down with your partner and magkaanak na later on, you will become responsible parents. So that is one of your uh, tasks. Then achieving adult social and civic responsibility. You're able to join organizations, kanang sa inyong, especially kung naana may mga anak later on, you will be joining mga PTA group, mga parents, teachers, organization, something like that. Then satisfactory career achievement, expected sa inyo at this stage na may stable nga job, no? Stable nga job, and then you are performing your best sa inyong job kung unsa man ang inyong mga job. And then developing adult leisure time activities relating to one's spouse as a person and accepting the psychological changes of middle age. So 30 to 50 years old, middle age, mo nang ginaingon nila nga midlife crisis diring idara. 30, mga 40 years old. ang life expectancy manggod siguro kung wala pa na sa mga 75 years old or 80 years old ana. So ang katunga ana niya 40 years old, ana 40 to 50 years old. So mo na siya ang dira na manggawas ang ginatawag nila nga midlife crisis. And we will be talking about that one once we reach the middle adulthood. Nga kana lang gid siya nga topic later on. Okay? Unsa may naaana niya nga stage. And then adjusting to aging parent. So, and then we have the later maturity, 61. Putol man siya, no? 61 and over. So number one, adjusting to decreasing strength and health. Wala siya ang mga retirable age, yung mga nag-retire na, 61 pataas. Number two, adjusting to retirement and reduced income. So since nag-retire na, wala nang nagadawat sa regular nga salary. So nag-adjust in terms of um, um, kanang money. Kaya daghan kayo naga-promote nga as early as now if you're given the chance to save money, then you have to start saving right now. Do not wait nga pag-retire na ka dito na ka mag-save na wala naman kay i-save kay wala naman kay source of income. So you have to start saving as early as now. The moment you start getting compensation, salary, or asa ba na inyong source of income, you have to start saving for your retirement. Okay? Then adjusting to death of spouse. Diri naman gid na mga idara, whether we like it or not, abot gid sa point nga we have to say goodbye to whoever, no, sa mga imong partner siguro sa may mauna sa inyo si bako lang inana kaya mga edad is vulnerable naman siya nga mga edad, mga apyugon na kaayo daghan ng mga sakit. Then establishing relations with one's own age group and meeting social and civic obligations, mga senior citizen yung mga organization. Then establishing satisfactory living quarters. Okay? Sige daw. Before I proceed, kinsa man diri ang kuan. Balikon ako diri ha sa inyong edad, early adulthood. Among the developmental tasks mentioned, asa pa man diri imong na-perform. Siguro diri ta sa adolescence and early adulthood nga stage. Asa man dira ang imuhang na-perform. Si Kyle. Kyle Marie. Hello, Kyle?
Hello, hello, madam.
Yes. Sige, diri ta sa... Pila kayong edad, Kyle?
18, madam.
18 years old. So,
Yes,
napaka diri sa early. Diri pa ka, I mean, sa adolescence.
yes, ma'am.
So,
Ay, 19 na dahil
from...
ko, dam.
Ay, sure, unsa man gyud?
19, dam.
Unsa?
19, dam, early adulthood.
19 early adult. Bago lang ka ng 19.
Bago lang, dam.
Okay. So, after dire, sa kaning 1 to 7, 7 nga mga developmental tasks, asa pa man diri imong na-perform?
Number, selecting a mate.
Mm. So, kana pa lang.
Kuan po, dam. Ay, nakatry na po ko sa 7, dam, kay bago ra magud ko namatayan sa akong papa, dam. Then, ako lang, isa anak, then akong mama kay na siya sakit stroke siya, dam ba.
Okay.
Well,
So, ikaw ani ako is a responsibility.
yes, dam.
Okay. Pero diri sa adolescence nga stage, na-perform na nimo ni tanan.
Yes, dam.
Na-perform na. Ay, that's good.
Opo.
Okay. Sige, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, dam.
Okay. So kani siya. Dili man bud pasabot no nga kinahanglan gid siya i-perform hala karon kinahanglan do manguyab na jud dayon ko. Kay ang kanang mga dirang butanga expected lang siya but it doesn't mean that you're really obliged na mangita jud ka kay may requirement. Dili pud siya inana. Expected lang siya sa inyong edad karon nga you already have your partner kay karong mga idara mag-start man gud nga seryosohay na ba You are looking forward to being with this person for the rest of your life. Unlike siguro atong mga ginaingon lang puppy love days nga kanang char-char lang, pero kaning mga idara karon ang expected, ang ginaingon expected nga nana mo'y mga partners, serious partners that you consider makauban for the rest of your life, no? Expected. Mo na siyang ginaingon nga, expectations gikan sa society. And Habigers also added that biology and society have a lot influence, but personal values of the people who prepare them have as much influences on identifying the task. So he described his developmental task on middle class Americans. So ang kaniyang pagbuhat niya sa developmental task, ang iyang basis lang ba kay sa middle class Americans. So dili siya ingon nga nagkuha siya og samples or nag-observe siya sa tanang tao sa tibuok kalibutan. So mao pud ni siya ang murag whole ba. Mao siya ang nakita nga medyo kulang sa iyang gi-present nga developmental task. Naka-focus siya sa middle class Americans. And if we try to compare ourselves sa Americans, layo ra jud kaayo ang ato ang kultura compared sa ilaha. So however, he did not try to define viewpoints from lower socioeconomic class and upper class as well. Naman po siya mga points nga ginakuha, pero most likely the observation was coming from Americans, sa middle class Americans. Okay. Sige, let's continue. So that was developmental task according to Javi Gerst. And I mentioned earlier that there was also someone who introduced his own version of developmental task. We have kanisikoan si Sanchok, no? Um, if you try to observe ang iyang developmental task, nagsugod gid siya sa prenatal, starting from conception, pagbuntis pa lang daan, hantod sa pag-anak. So, ang kay Habigers Magod, nag-start siya katong birth na gyud, birth na onwards. Ang si Sanchok nag-start from prenatal period, from conception to birth. So according to Sanchok, it involves tremendous growth daw ang sa prenatal period from single cell to an organism complete with brain and behavioral capabilities. So mao po na ang task na kinahanglang i-perform sa katong bata nga napa sa sud sa tiyan. Mo na yung expected na iyang i-perform. No? Maskin pag-iingon nga unsa ba wala man tay mahimo ka naman sa sulod sa tiyan, but that these are the tasks expected sa iyang edad. Okay, and then we have the infancy from birth to 18 months. We have infancy 18 to 24 months, no, a time of extreme dependence on adults. Many psychological activities are just beginning. For example, itong language, symbolic thought, sensory motor coordination, and social learning. So pila may edad ani mga 1-year-old up to 2 years old, 18 to 24 months. And we have the early childhood. We have early childhood, ends of infancy, so 5 to 6 years old, so grade 1 ang bata ani. These are the preschool years. So young children learn to become more self-sufficient and to care for themselves, develop school readiness skills, and um, spend many hours in play with peers. Okay, so expected sa iya, nakidula na siya, the child is now starting to establish his own life nga siya lang, pero most likely dito po sa play gyapon dili bud pasabot nga mag-separate na gid siya og puyo. Gusto niya nga siya di na magpagunit, gusto niya magdagandagan, gusto niya buhaton sa iyang gustong buhaton sa kanang mga idara. And then we have the middle and late childhood, 6 to 11 years, so the elementary school years. So the fundamental skills of reading and writing, arithmetic are mastered. The child is formally exposed to the larger world and its culture. So achievement becomes a more central theme of the child's world and self-control increases. So kaning mga edad 6 to 11 years old, this is the type of age or critical ni siya nga edad mao na kung mapansin ninyo sa elementary school teachers, grabe ka ayo ka appreciative. Moingon jud palakpakan nato. Congratulations. You really have to appreciate this kuan kani mga bataan ni kay dira man mag-start no ang mga ang ginaingon man gud nila kung wala kayo gina-appreciate most likely mo manifest mo na siya inagdako. So as early as this stage 6 to 11 you really have to appreciate small small achievements no mga milestones. Congratulate gud na palakpakan i-treat in ana kay dira man na mag-start ang ilang gana kay para mahimong ang iyang learning environment is memorable para sa iya, no? Giganahan siya mo balik sa school, kay appreciate man siya sa inanang edad. And then sa adolescents 10 to 12 years old, uh, ending up to 18 to 22 begins with rapid physical changes, so dramatic gains in height and weight, changes in body contour, and the development of sexual characteristics such as enlargement sa kanang physical attributes and pursuit of independence and identity are prominent. Thought is more logical, abstract, and idealistic, and more time is spent outside of the family. So kaning mga idara, mao ni inyong edad, adolescent stage, kung atong basihan si Sunshock, nabilong pa mo sa adolescence na stage. Most of the time, kay karon, except karong panahon na no, kay you're not allowed to go outside and be with your friends, hang out with your friends. But typically, sa inyong mga edad, na mas magpundo mo sa inyong mga friends kesa sa magpundo sa inyong mga ginikanan o sa inyong balay, no? Inana siya expected. And we have early adulthood from teens or early 20s lasting through the 30s. So it is a time of establishing personal and economic independence. So career development, selecting a mate, learning to live with someone in an intimate way, and starting a family and rearing a child, those are expected tasks or responsibilities sa early adulthood. And we have the middle adulthood, 40 to 60. It is the time of expanding personal and social involvement and responsibility of assisting the next generation in becoming competent and mature individuals and of reaching the maintaining satisfaction of career. So, mo na ni siya ang maabot na sa point ba nga mo na to ang pinaka sa imuha na abot na nimo ang stage gali na nga okay na ka you are very much ready to retire, so diri mga idara. And lastly, we have the late adulthood. It is the time for adjustment to decreasing strength and health, life review, retirement, and adjustment to new social roles. Manang ang kaning na kumaabot diri sa late adulthood, 60 years old pataas mo din siya ang mga tao nga taas na kay wisdom. Wisdom because of the experiences nga ilang na nakuha gikan pa atong bata pa sila hantod karon mo nang ilang term ginaingon kanang padulong pa lang ka pabalik pabalik na ko. So masuko ni sila usually sa mga inaning mga idara masuko sila imog silang istoryahan kay feeling manggod nila kanang magtudlo-tudlo man ka nga mas hawd pa man ko mas kabalo pa man ko kay because of my experience, no? Mga authoritative ang diri nga mga idara pero dili man pud ingon tanan, but most likely usually mangin-ani kay murag makaingon talaga hian na mag-uloan ni lolo og ni lola oy di magtuman man jud sa gusto kay tungod sila manggod para sa ila anong ingnan man nga mas kuan man ko mas grabe akong experience as compared sa imo nga mapapagsugod. Okay, so mao to siya ang kuan. Actually daw ang ginaingon Sunshock and Havigers as siguro ang ihalang format ang different, no? The developmental stages according sa ila Sancho and Havergus similar naman siya because both consider development as a continuous process that spans a person's life. So continuous process. Both theories also propose that these developments occur in stages. So, stage by stage, Haviger's theory proposes that individuals need to achieve developmental tasks before proceeding to the next stage of their lives. So, developmental tasks win the approval of the people around them and also sparks satisfaction and pride in the person doing them. So, according to Haviger's, you have to perform the tasks expected of each stage before you can proceed. Pero tungod manggod sa panghitabo karon, murag na uban maahat siya ba? No, maahat kag perform sa task na supposedly pang adult na siya. Nga ikaw na hinoy na himong mama o papa sa imong manghod because of a particular incident or mga panghitabo nga dili nato siya gina-expect. And because of that happening, so ma-advance ka or ma-late ka og perform ba karon sa particular task, na a feeling of um, na katong gina-mention ganina, unhappiness. Yung unhappiness sa imong part, sa imong end. Kay dapat nagiingon naman dapat nag-enjoy ko karon sa akong friends pero kung naama ko diri sa balay nagbantay sa akong manghod nga dapat dili man ako ni sa trabaho may ana ba inana nga mga situation akong mga friends lagi akong mga classmate inani nganong ako inana so nay lang dapita you are not satisfied uh, murag nag-expect ka nga dapat lahi ang imong gina-perform nga kuan mo to siya ginaingon ni Haviger. So you really have to perform the task assigned sa imong edad before you can proceed to the next. Okay? Para sa iya you can really say na you are really satisfied and ang society pod mismo are happy because you perform the tasks expected sa imong edad. Okay? So far kato lang siya. Anybody from the class who would like to say something? Na ba may na-observe? You want to add? You want to clarify before we end?
Wala na po, madam.
Wala na. Anyway, naaman ni siya sa module. No? Apil man ako rin siya sa inyong module. And by the way, wait lang. Next week, since